Right? I'm resident of Collinwood, and for YouTube, and joining me tonight is Dark Shadows blog writer, fan fiction writer, John Phillip Bettencourt. Series 12, man, wow, what a journey.
What a journey.
Right? I gotta ask you, how much does from series 11 really is do you feel Gabriel is sort of somewhat responsible for India not knowing about the Collins family?
Well, I think that's a tough question because with him, he doesn't know much about David's father at all. Really, he only knows who uh, he only knows David, or he only knows India's father by what his sister told him, which wasn't much. All she told him was who her father was, and which is Dominique. So Dominique doesn't really tell Gabriel a lot about India's family, really, or her father's family. All she does is really entrust her brother to take care of India. Eventually, sort of things kind of unravel, and in series 11, that's when Gabriel kind of starts to build his own story of what is really going on in Collinsburg. He doesn't really know much about India's father's family at all, really.
Right. We get both the introductions of Gabriel in India in series 11, and they're both very fascinating characters. What went behind the thinking of sending a fresh new character back to this 1966 reimagining?
Well, I always wanted to do something with the original characters, and throughout the series, I kind of peppered them in throughout. Like with there's a scene I think in series 5 or 6 where Carolyn has like a near death experience and she meets up with her mom who's dead. I never ever talked with Roger. Roger was never involved, and Julia's come back. And I've had a couple people here and there, but I never really had like full storylines with them. And I thought, well, do I go back and how would I do that? Like, how far do I go back? And then I thought about, what if I reimagined the very first year, right before the television storylines begin, and how would I do that? So I thought, well, what if I just reimagine that first kind of month or week that Victoria shows up, and what would happen with a new person in town?
Yeah, yeah, I think it's really interesting how this journey starts with India Archo. If I'm mispronouncing the name, I apologize. But
That's all right. Do Arco. That's her name. Do
Arca,
Arco.
okay.
Yeah.
I, I,
I know
al-
I have a really weird tendency of picking confusing and difficult names, but it's just my weird. It's one of my pet peeves, I guess. I pick strange names.
no, my ass just needs to learn proper pronunciation.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
But it's really an interesting character read because she's brand new at the end of series 11. I mean, you literally just dropped her in our lap like as a reader, and I'm thinking, oh my god, we're getting this brand new character at the end of the series. And then boom, she's going back to 1966 because of Barnabas's reign, coming off of the portrait when and the goodness, the lighthouse, going around and around because Barnabas wants to fix things that he wants to correct things, mistakes he made. Was how tricky was this to go back to 1966?
Well, pretty tricky because as you mentioned in a lot of your videos, Barnabas doesn't show up until 67. So I chose 66 because he hadn't really touched that year on the television show. So I thought if Barnabas really wanted to go back and fix things, maybe he wouldn't go back to the exact year that he showed up. Maybe he would go back a little bit further so he would have some time to kind of move in and kind of really fix things before Willie shows up, before all of that trouble starts. And it also gave me a window to kind of play around with the storyline, adding Barnabas in, which is before Laura, before all the other stuff kind of happens. It gives me that kind of like area to kind of play around. So I also wanted to have Victoria, who's brand new. She had no idea what was going to happen to her in Collinsport. So to marry those two together, Barnabas goes back to the very beginning of the beginning, and there's Victoria, who's fresh. She's new. She is not tainted by anything that she has seen or heard. She's just like India. So in a way, I use Victoria as a mirror image of India. They don't know anything that's going on. They're kind of they're not afraid of anybody. They're nervous people because in general, Colin would be very intimidating. But they come together as sort of a grouping. Victoria is India. India is Victoria in a sense.
Right.
That's why he chooses her.
Right. They're very similar in their nature and their innocence. And you pointed that out so well with this chapter. And that's why he chose her. I had thought for a moment as the reader, I'm thinking, I wasn't. I was sort of like India. I was sort of like India and Justin, especially Justin. I more. That's the one character I felt the most connected to with this entire series 12. And I'm like, I DTA. I don't trust Barnabas. Talk to us about Justin Patterson.
Well, I thought about picking the original characters, which ones I would choose. Obviously, the core family would be in there, and then I thought, should I use all the same characters that the show did? Joe and um, uh, Dr. Woodward. Like, who would I choose and who would I pick? And I thought about, well, what if I just chose the core family? I really wanted to throw in Julia. I had to bring Julia in, and then I thought, well, let's explore those old characters, but maybe expand their families a little bit because we didn't really know much about those people. So I kind of had a list of people going around and who can I connect and how would I connect them, and then of course the sheriff kind of always popped around the house. So I chose Sheriff Patterson, and then I expanded around him. And at first, it was going to be his wife. I wanted to have his wife involved as a full-fledged character, and then I thought, well, no, I can't really do that. How would I? And then I just created a son and worked it around there.
I really like the connection that Justin's mother had to Wincliffe Sanitarium and the sanitarium in general. He, once him and Victoria get to Wincliffe, he's now hesitant. It's reminiscent of a pain from his past. And you get into that pain so very, very well. The description of it, of seeing his mother go in, committed, was very painful for him. What's So talk to me about that. Like, how do you get into that type of character? That it's so well done, so well written.
Well, I thought about no one in that place, in that town, in that area, sort of nobody's untouched by something dark. Everybody has literally a dark shadow in their closet. And I thought, if we're gonna have a town full of these people who have these really scary things that have happened to them, not everything can be supernatural, and not everything can be sort of scary of the monsters and creepy things that actually roam around Collinwood. So I thought, there are other things that are scary. Mental illness is a horrible thing that a lot of people really suffer through. And even though this is sort of used as kind of an extreme social mental illness. I mean, she obviously goes crazy, and it's not to make fun of that sort of thing, but it's sort of a fictional kind of way to bring about a really tough topic. But how does that kind of thing affect a child, and how does that type of thing affect a family? And in those days, in the '60s, they didn't really go to doctors for help. They would really just put away their family members in these crazy houses and kind of move on with their lives. So that would be traumatic for a child to see his mom taken away and never see her again, and not know if she gets better, not know if she gets worse, or whatever happens to her. And that sort of trauma affected him, and from then on he was sort of he grows up a little sketchy. He grows up where everybody kind of has their eye on him, not knowing how he's going to react to anything because they feel he's pretty fragile and he's pretty nervous around a lot of situations. So when he goes back with India, it's sort of a triggering moment that flips a lot of the things in his own head all around. That's why he has those outbursts with his dad, and they fight a little bit, and there's a literal fist fight with him and his father. So anything like that kind of triggers him into a spiral.
Yeah, he's very conflicted once that all happens, and talk when he talks about it and stuff, and you show it very well. I really enjoyed Justin so much. I connected with him very easily. It was very, very well done for that character in India.
Thank you so much. I
India,
liked writing them. I mean, I like having these new people to show up and kind of spice things up a little bit. Now we have a new couple to kind of root for.
right. Talk to me about India and her feelings of going back. I love how she kept pinching herself like, this is a dream, this is a dream.
Well, well, I kept thinking these are pretty short chapters, and the series isn't long at all. Most of the time, if you think about the amount of time you have to write something, you don't want to bog a reader down by so much activity in a story, because it gets boring and you lose track of what you're reading about. And I gave myself only 12 chapters to kind of fill out the story. So I thought, what would happen? She can't really not believe it forever. I have to give her a moment to kind of understand that this is really happening. But I also don't want her to feel like, I don't want you, the reader, to think, boom, she already just accepts it. Like, it's such a strange and bizarre circumstance. She can't just jump into it thinking, okay, that's fine, I'm in 1966. So I did give her about 3 chapters to kind of really not pretend, but feel like, okay, what is going on? How is this really happening? And so I used the pinching thing to kind of like break it down to that level where she's like constantly checking to see if she's really, really asleep or not, because it's unbelievable. It's such a weird thing to happen to somebody. To go back through time, all those years, 50 plus years, it's just bizarre, So I used the little pinching method to kind of like bring her back to reality. Like, is this really happening? Is this really happening? Like, is this really happening?
Right. Her disbelief is very believable because, again, something that you touched on with Series 11, this is somebody who's completely brand new to this family in many ways.
Right.
So it was completely believable that she would react the way she did. She's not Barnabas, who's been back in time. She's India. She's her own person. And she's somebody
Right.
who, just from the reader's perspective, she shouldn't she shouldn't necessarily believe everything she's seen, and she doesn't. And that's something I liked about her very much. She's trying to be sure of what's going on.
Right. And she's trying to believe it herself. I mean, she hit the ground running when she became a colonist, in essence, when she shows up in 11. She didn't really know what to expect. She just kind of expects this family, and she really hasn't had a family all her life. She's only had her uncle and sort of an image of her mom. And when she does finally meet her dad, it rips her into this world where it's out of control right out the gate. She has no control over anything. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and to merge her with Victoria again was really well done. Talk to me about Arabella Stoddard. Very interesting.
So I definitely love a good villainess. Villains are great too. The mean guys are cool, but the villainesses are always just so much more fun. They always get away with a little bit more. And I like writing them. And I wanted to bring, again, this is the same situation like with Justin Patterson. I thought of an original character that I wanted to expand their family around. And I thought, well, we really don't know anything about the Stoddard family other than Paul was this kind of slow life that Elizabeth marries, and he's this garbage really. He steals from her, and he's always kind of running around on her. So I thought, who would what kind of person comes from that family? And I don't think the Stoddards would have been some kind of like East Coast rich family with snooty. I thought they'd be grifters. So Arabella's just like her brother, and apparently just like her dad. So I wrote her really kind of this gold digger who comes from San Francisco. Obviously, I had to throw my own little shout out to my city there. So she's this gold digger. She's been married a bunch of times. I wanted to actually expand on her marriages and explain that she kind of marries old men and lets them die, or she kills them. We don't really know. But again, I didn't have a lot of time, so it's alluded to that she's been married 3 times, that all of her husbands are dead suspiciously, and that's how she gets her money. That's how she makes her living, is marrying these rich guys and getting their money. But times are tough, and she's out of husbands, and she needs money, and so she comes to Collinsport ready to take some of her sister-in-law's money.
I do. When you go back and read this, and I'm going to leave a link in the description box when we get done here. When you go back and read this, there is many hints of Arabella's marriages and the men dying off, and her getting rich, sort of because of it, or not rich, but money, and she burns through that.
Roger's favorite topics.
Right. That was what that was. There were so many great interactions. You always do a great job with the character interactions as well. And Roger and Arabella, I love them just butting heads. They're like 2 rams going at it.
Roger was really fun to write. I remember watching episodes of him, and he was always sort of like kind of giving making his little wisecracks or trying to, joke up on his sister, kind of teasing her a little bit. And he always had a drink in his hand. So I pictured him, I was like, I think he would be drunk a lot. I think he would be constantly frustrated with the fact that he has to be the one going to work and his sister kind of just makes all the decisions while he does all the grunt work. And I would be just like Roger, coming home and complaining and being a jerk to my sister. And of course, like that's exactly the attitude I would have.
Right, he's very. I love how him and Liz are very combative with each other. Then he just. I love when after he sees her burn the letter, he's not sure what's in there, but he knows she's hiding something, and that's just enough of a push because again, like you said, he's tired of it. He's tired of sort of doing all the work, and
Right.
he's now telling her, either you tell me or else, and it's not.
Yeah, he's taking control. He wants to take control finally. He wants to be the one to be making the decisions. Like he's tired of her being the one that's in power all the time when he's the one doing all the work. So he sees that and realizes now he got something on her. But nothing ever goes Roger's way. Nothing.
I like the little twist of Roger knowing Jason, well, and calling him. That was really a even for the character Roger was in the original series, this reimagining, that was really a punch in the gut for me because I'm like, oh my, I did not expect Jason McGuire to be on the other end of that phone call.
That is my kind of okay. So there are a couple of retcons in that I do, only to make sense for myself. Like I think the way Roger's written for my story, I believe he would be responsible for Jason. I
Right.
don't bringing him to town, not necessarily what Jason does. I think once my story kind of ends and the real show begins, Jason would probably end up betraying Roger, and then the real story the real TV show would take place. Like those events would happen because of that betrayal. So it's not necessarily that Roger knew what Jason was going to do. I think he brought him in just to kind of mess with his sister, and then eventually it gets kind of out of control.
Right. He's not aware of Jason's intentions because all our everybody's intentions are different mainly. Everybody
Right.
has their own individuality, so to speak. And
Exactly.
and that's Roger and Jason. He's not aware of Jason's, evil doings or
He,
deeds.
he he definitely knows he's a bad guy. I mean, that's why he calls them to kind of give Elizabeth a little run for her money. But again, like I said, nothing Roger does ever works out. It probably gets away from him and a mess ensues, which we already know. The things that happen on the TV show still happen. This My Story just happens right before all of that kind of snowballs into chaos. So all of those events still take place, and mine was just a small little window right before it.
No, I think this is the reimagining. Again, when I read something, to make Dark Shadows new every time is no easy task. It's not. And each time, each chapter I've read of yours, and I've read it all, it you've done it each time. So, and that's again, that's not
Thank you.
easy.
That's a big compliment.
It's a very very amazing, like Arabella. The time travel to me, from my standpoint, it's like throwing a rock, skipping stones through water. You skip one stone, it causes one ripple, but you skip a giant stone, it causes a bigger ripple. And that's how I looked at India with, you know, I was sort of questioning, well, did Barnabas bringing India back, even though putting her in Victoria's body, cause all of this? Did it? That was sort of my, retrospective of this chapter of your protagonist in many ways is life in general. Barnabas is trying to
Right.
fix life, but it's
And
you
And
can't.
you're totally right. When you bring something from the past into the future, just like you were saying, you do cause sort of like that, what is called the butterfly effect. It makes a ripple into a whole different situation. When you remove something and replace it with something else, there's going to be a different ending to that story. But Barnabas really doesn't realize that at first, and I think he slowly starts to see that his actions to correct are making more mistakes.
I love that there's a lot of shock in this. Another really good character is Noel. So talk to us about Bureau and Noel, brother and sister.
So his name is Bo. It's the
Oh,
French spelling of Bo.
sorry.
It's okay. No, I told you I pick crazy names. They're so Bo and Noel are kind of again new characters that I created to sort of fill in some holes about Carolyn and all the stuff that's going around her life. Um, and I really wanted there to be a kind of like a connection between her, Noelle and Bo, and also Kat and Sebastian. So Sebastian and Kat are sort of brother and sister way in the future, and I wanted that sort of same friendly kind of brother sister thing going on. Again, I didn't have a whole lot of time to expand their relationship, but I think there's only like 3 chapters of them totally. But yeah, she's a reluctant kind of psychic. She doesn't like to know the future. She hates it. It's something that's passed down to her through her grandmother, her great grandmother. Bo knows that. He tries to use it to his advantage, and she refuses. Unfortunately, her curiosity does end up getting to her, and she steps in it and sees more than she really wanted to see. I mean, she obviously figures out a lot of other stuff. She doesn't know exactly what she knows. Like when she sees that there's a child coming, she doesn't really know it's Carolyn's child. She sees the hand coming out of the dirt, she doesn't realize it's Arabella. So, but she does see those future events. She just doesn't realize how impactful they're going to be to her and her brother.
I think there's a lot of Final Fantasy style writing in this. Like I don't know if you're familiar with the video game, but that's when I read this. That's sort of what it connected me to, because there's a quote in the game I'm playing. Aerith says, "The future is never set in stone," and that's sort of what it made me think of when I was reading this. I'm thinking, she's right. The future is never set in stone, and Noelle sort of reminded me of that. That even though you could look into the future, it doesn't. That future could always change because each and every day could affect it in a lot of ways.
Right.
Like it again. It was so well done. Like Noelle and Bo, and I love Carolyn getting pregnant. Talk to me about Carolyn and Bo's relationship. They're very intimate.
So this is Carolyn sort of living her best life. Like she's doing whatever she wants. She doesn't let her mom kind of control her as much as Elizabeth would want to. She's kind of single now. She's been with Joe, who is now with Maggie. She used to date Justin, who's now kind of like gone a little cuckoo cracks. So she's kind of just doing whatever she wants, and she decides that she doesn't want to tell anybody about her relationship. That's why her and Bo are sort of secret. They don't really talk to anybody about it. Um, uh, so her pregnancy is sort of a clue to 13, so I won't reveal too much about that. But she clearly couldn't have the baby in 1966. In those days, girls who had babies and weren't married, and especially because he's African American and she's white, it would be just this big scandal. So she decides that she's going to do the best thing for herself and the child and pretend to go to Europe and look for Arabella, knowing that Arabella's dead, and have the baby there and let the baby grow up happy with a good family and then come back. So again, the events of Carolyn's life post my story do still happen. So the show stuff still happens to her. We just now know that she has a kid out there somewhere.
Right. I love how you look at how she looks at you wrote her, and she looks at the irony of her having to give up a child just like her mother did. To
Exactly. See, I like to do that. I like to mirror image things. Like, sort of Vicky is India, and Carolyn is now sort of doing what her mom did.
right, it's eerie, but yet the connection is you're going, oh my god, when I read that, I'm
Right.
like, poor Carolyn, even though she had I sort of forgave her for plotting to kill Vicky when this all happened. I'm like, I forgive you. Can I hug you now?
She was under a lot of stress.
Right, she was.
She was.
But where would you rank Arabella's evilness? Because she sort of lays the plot to kill Vicky. It's so sinister.
She's not as evil as Angelique, but she's not as nice as Vicky.
Okay.
She's sort of like she's not even in between. She's a little closer to Angelique than she is Vicky.
I've got the perfect husband for Arabella, and his name
Okay.
is Charles Lee Ray, aka Chucky from Child's Play. That would be the perfect husband for her.
She's diabolical. I mean, she wants what she wants when she wants it, and it's always now. She doesn't expect to wait for anything, and she'll destroy everything just to get what she wants. But she has no idea that she's stepping into this vampire's plot. She has no clue what Barnabas is doing, and she first kind of sets her eyes on him. When she meets him, she thinks, "Oh, here's another rich guy, right?" And then it just sort of collapses all around her when he decides to back up Elizabeth and kill her.
I love the the final chapter really has a lot of twists and turns, and I love the arrival slash transformation where Angelique is just like it feels like she's saying, "Bitch, you'll never be rid of me."
She's exactly saying that, and that's that's my totally. She's like, there's no way we're linked for life. Like you can't get rid of me, and a lot of that has to do with they have a kid. In real life situations, like a dad and a mom who've broken up are linked together forever by their kid. So that's kind of my own real life spin on it. Like they're linked for life, legit. Like they have a child that's we will later read about, and she's forever going to be linked to him, no matter what.
My favorite bitch of the year, Claudia, came back at the end of this, and because India traveled through time and she thought she was going to go back to 2019, no, dun dun dun, she ends up in the 90s.
Ends up in the 90s. And yeah, I never really imagined that when I started writing this from series one, I was like, okay, I won't go too many times into the future. I won't go into like I just want to do it one or two times. And now I'm on my third time travel, but I have to do it. I thought about it and I thought, okay, where can I go next? Because I really had a lot of loose ends by the time I finished writing. I thought, how can I finish this? And I thought about, well, I've never really explained a lot of the stuff that happened in the 80s and 90s that led to my story starting in 2015. Like there's a huge gap. I mention it, I talk about it, I explain it, but no one ever sees it happen, play out. So that was how we decided. I thought, well, we got to take India somewhere else before she goes home.
Yeah, I really like she's waking up and she turns on the television and George Bush. I'm thinking, well, at least it wasn't Al Gore. It could have been worse, but
Yeah, exactly. I kept it real.
you're right. I like that. I like that. That she turns on the TV and there's George Bush, and it's just, and then there's Claudia. I'm thinking, the bitch is back. You know,
She's been there. She's poor thing. She's been in that house who knows how long, and
right?
she's just waiting.
She she's an amazing character. Claudia, I've had. I love all your villains. I can't sit here and say that you know, to me, when I gave you my top five, I think I mentioned like there were ties. There were several ties, and it's the job you do putting these characters together and just bringing them together with the other characters that are around them. They're just really well done.
Thank you so much.
So. I'm gonna let you have the floor. And is there anything you want to mention about this series that we haven't covered?
No, I just thank you so much for reading them on every Monday night. You put on a great little story time, and I'm really happy that there's been so many people, messaging saying they like it, they're super into it, and that really is encouraging. As a writer, like when somebody reaches out and says they like what you're doing and they want you to keep going, they don't want it to end. That's like a fire that makes you so much more happier. And for me, doing this like 5 years now, it's gonna be 5 years in November. It's been fun. It's been super fun and sometimes discouraging, sometimes super encouraging. So it's been kind of like this roller coaster of good and bad, but mostly good. So I just really appreciate you spotlighting it so often. It really, really makes a difference.
I have a lot of fun reading this. It's so again, I grew up, and then when I grew up in the '90s, Dark Shadows was re-airing and was in syndication. So I watched the '60s series and the movies, and the revival, and I fell in love with the show, and
Me too.
I always wanted, like you, I just love the characters and everything, and I always wanted, for the life of me, a series for my generation to watch, to sort of have our, our own series for our generation, because the 60s is the 60s, the 90s is the 90s.
Right.
04 was the unaired pilot. We didn't get a series, but I hope one day we do get this series, and I feel that your story, to me, in my mind, from a fan's perspective, and this is my opinion, is the closest thing we have to that. In my,
That's wow.
in my opinion, I want to stress that.
Well, my opinion too. How's that? No, but I agree. I agree. I watched. I think you and I are around the same age, so we started watching it. I think we talked about it less. Sci-fi reruns. Is that true for you too?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So exactly. Yeah, I started watching the exact same time you did, and I had no idea what it was. I fell upon it by accident and just was kind of hooked on it. And I watched it for. I think back then it came on for 2 hours or maybe even an hour. I don't know now. But yeah, it was just this weird, super fun show. I had no idea what was going on, and then I learned everybody's name, and then the storyline started making sense week after week. And yeah, I feel exactly the same as you did when I realized that there was a '90s show, because I didn't know that until much, 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 much later. And then I watched the whole series, and I thought, oh well, the '90s show is great, but it's also pretty much the same as the '60s show in a sense. And then the movie kind of came out, and it was repeating again the same stuff. So yeah, that's where it all came from. I wanted to create something that wasn't a repeat of the original story, and but was continuing the family. Like, who are they now? Where are they now? So that's where it all started. Even though I've gone back this time to the very beginning, I didn't want to rewrite the very beginning. I wanted to make it fresh and new and bring a kind of a new idea to what it could have been too.
If you could pick somebody to compose Dark Shadows, who would it be today?
The music, like throughout the series, like,
Yes.
oh god, oh man,
I'm putting you on the spot now.
you totally are. Dark Shadows. I would really have to think about that because I would have to listen to some stuff, some samples. But I don't know. That's a really good question. If I say Danny Elfman, will I get murdered because of the movie situation?
No, 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 no. Danny Elfman, as a composer with Batman, and has proven
Yeah,
himself time and time and time again. I
yeah.
I would not hold any grudges to anybody that said Danny Elfman just because of the 2012 movie.
Okay, let's use him for now, and then I'll get back to you because that's a really good question.
I would pick Ennio Morricone. And if you've ever watched the old spaghetti Sergio Leone westerns and John Carpenter's The Thing, he's to me one of the best composers out there.
You know what? I'm going to listen to that today. I'm sure there's a soundtrack I can grab somewhere.
If you go to the, let's see, for a few dollars more, Fistful of Dollars and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, he did those. He did The Thing. He's composed many other stuff. And my favorite composer he ever did was my favorite Western, Once Upon a Time in the West, simply because
Okay.
I got to watch Charles Bronson play a harmonica. And you don't see that in his movies too much.
You
But
definitely don't.
that's who I would pick to do dark, even though he doesn't do much horror, and I think The Thing was the only one, if I'm mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, I could be. Again, I'm old, but so that's that's who I would pick. It again. I think your series, your story, to me, it's the closest thing I have to a series, to just be able,
Oh,
because you set this so well. It's like I'm sitting there with the cat, just these people watching this hell, watching all of
yes.
this, right?
That was my total intention. I wanted to, I know a lot of people write in sort of ways, sort of specific ways, and I thought, well, I mean, I just want to write it as if you're watching a TV show. I want it to feel that nostalgic feeling of watching your favorite, creepy story from the 1960s, even though it's really not, and it's writing, and you have to sit there and really focus. But yeah, I wanted to do it as close as possible to watching a TV show except to reading it. That was, I think I kind of did it. Hopefully.
Now, for those who don't know, I always tease John with this because I've asked him this several times. So, when are you going to write a Halloween story?
I do not know, but you will be very proud of me to know because I've seen the movies off and on here and there. But the not this weekend and not the weekend before, but the weekend before that. So 3 weeks ago, I watched I think four Halloween movies back to back to back.
I'm so very
So
proud of you.
so I'm doing my research.
You're
How's
almost
that?
you're halfway through graduation. My Halloween Padme.
Are you excited? Are you excited about the last one? I think it's called Halloween Kills, right? Or Halloween. There's two more, I think, coming out.
Yeah, Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. I think
There you go.
for me, as somebody who's been a fan of this franchise forever, my biggest issue with the franchise has been they don't seem to want to kill. They've killed off major characters in the series before, and people have bitched about it. But I never
Mm-hmm.
did. I never did, and my reason for that has always been he's a killer. He's a cold-blooded goddamn killer. It would it makes all the sense he would kill somebody no matter who they were. It's not about who's playing the character, it's about the character itself. The
Right,
killer,
right.
he's brutal. He's not going to stop until you're dead. And because he's just that fucking evil to me, pardon the language, but
No, no.
so my biggest worry for Halloween Kills is, is Jamie Lee Curtis going to put him over, and are they going to kill off Laurie Strode?
Well, well, she's. I read that she during my research of the four movies I was watching, she was signed on for Halloween Ends, so I think she survives.
That's
She
my
survives kills, but I don't know about ends. So they haven't really finished or started filming Halloween Ends. So she might survive both. Who knows? Maybe this is one of those trick things where Halloween ends, but then next year or 2022 we have Halloween Begins. You know?
listen. I've said this to everyone I know. It will never ever really end because Halloween Dark Shadows, as long as there's a fan base, there's going to be breath in that life.
Exactly.
There,
Exactly.
it's never ever going to really end. Even long after
Right.
we're gone, it'll be around.
Right. Because there's going to be some more kids like us growing up watching reruns or DVDs or streaming anything on Netflix or whatever, and they're going to want to write stories too, just like you and I did.
Right? And God be with them when they do. It's like
Yeah.
enjoy the insanity because that's what it is. It's pure
It's like an
fun.
addiction for me.
It,
You're totally right.
it is. It's a lot of fun to do to sit there and just create.
I think I like more reactions from people. Like that's really what I get off on. Like when I get comments about how shocked someone was, or surprised, or happy, or upset. That really makes me excited because I'm like, okay, they get it. They understand what's going on, and they read the story, and they're invested in so and so. They're invested in what's going to happen with Julia. They're invested with is Barnabas going to get out of this mess? How is he going to do it? That's so exciting for me. It makes me so happy.
I think what I'm most looking forward to with this next with your fall series is just the everything you end up doing always turns out so very well written and done. So I'm so excited to that you're bringing this back this fall, and I'm really looking forward to reading it and reviewing it and having this discussion with you about that.
Yeah, it should come out either depends on how many chapters I have. I haven't really figured out that part, but it's going to coincide with the 5 year anniversary. So November 9th is the 5 year anniversary. So I have to start it obviously before that date. So either end of August or beginning of September.
I I'm excited to I can't wait to write out Happy Birthday for Ghost of Haddonfield and you read it because I think you'll really enjoy that day most of all.
I am excited. I told you in our private conversations how amazing and fun your story is. I mean, it does feel like this is such a missed opportunity for people to have created this TV show idea. Like, of course, this makes so much sense. Ghost of Haddonfield. I love it. It's so fun.
It, I think that's the point. For anybody who wants to write, just have fun. Just be creative, but have fun. like strain yourself doing this. It's
Yeah,
not.
it's not rocket science. You're not trying to change the world, although you may change the world. That's the whole thing, you know.
And listen, if you get death threats in the mail, you're just doing it right. That's all.
Or if you get really mean comments on Facebook, block them. That's fine.
Right. There is a block button, and
There's a
it's generally on the right.
but I have to say, I haven't got a whole lot of negative. A few times, I mean, you've had me rant. I've ranted to you a couple times, but there's really not been that many mean people. There's been a few, but you know, again, they've been blocked. Those couple of people.
I think a lot of people really enjoy this blog, and it is very, very, very enjoyable.
Thank you so much.
Link's going to be in the description box. Is there anything you want to add before we go?
Read Ghosts of Haddonfield, and that's all.
Yeah, listen, if I make it out of this alive, this
You will.
with sanity intact, I'll be appreciative of that. You know, to hell with everything else.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. You know, my wife looked at me like I'm getting flipped off now.
Hi, Julie.
John said hi.
Hi.
She said hi. But oh goodness. So yeah. Link is going to be in the description box. I want to thank you so very much for taking the time to join me. This has been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for reading it. I hope everybody enjoys it, and see you in the fall.
I'll see you, man. I'll message you on Facebook later.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.